Hey, this is Aaron.
And Blake, we're AB Data.
Thanks for walking through this Alteryx Weekly challenge with us.
Today we're taking a look at a weekly challenge. We're going to be looking at weekly challenge number 181, where we are going to use a provided URL, download and parse data for the recipe for an Old Southern, and we're going to create a list of the cocktail ingredients and measurements. So the first thing that we want to do when we do a weekly challenge is we want to look at the data that we start with. In this case, it's just going to be a URL because we're going to be using the download tool to scrape this website and get the information that we need. We probably also want to take a look at the answer so that we know what we're aiming for here at the end. So now that we see what we're working with, we know that we're going to want to start with the download tool. If we don't know where the download tool is, we can take a look for it by searching. So we're going to grab the download tool, and since we only have one field, looks like it's all going to be set up properly, so we can go ahead and hit run and see what we get. We'll see that we get a download data tool. We aren't going to be able to do very much with this. Let me add a browse on here so we can take a look and see what we're really dealing with in this field. So looking at this download data field, we'll see that we have a lot of data in it. It needs to be parsed out. This is probably going to be Json, so we have a tool for that. The tool for that is going to be in our developer category. So we can find that here. Along with our download tool, we also have our JSON parse tool, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. We want to make sure that we point it at the correct field, so we're going to point it at the download data field. Hit run again, and now we have something that we can work with. This looks a little bit better. This is great. We don't need all this information though, so we're going to want to go ahead and filter this out so that we really only get the ingredients and the measures, because that's all that we're asked for in this weekly challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a filter here from my favorites bar, and I'm going to create kind of a complex filter. We're going to create a custom filter here in order to really drill down to what we want. So we know that we want ingredients. We know that we want measures as well, looking at our data. So we want to keep anything that contains ingredients, anything that contains measures, and then we'll see that we have a lot of null measure values as well. We want to get rid of those. So our custom filter is going to say, if the JSON name contains ingredients or measures, and it's not null in the JSON value string, then we'll go ahead and we'll keep that. So let's hit the run button, and we see we just have 8 fields. We're almost there. This is a relatively quick challenge that we're going to get done today. So we see we've got our 4 ingredients, we've got our 4 measures. We're on track to where we need to be. We need to do a little bit more parsing here in order to really get things to where they need to be. So we need to parse out probably these ingredient numbers and measure numbers so that we can change the shape of our data but still keep those together. And then we also want to just get the words ingredient and the words measure. So we're going to use a formula to do that. The first thing that we're going to do with our formula is we're going to go ahead and we're going to replace in our JSON name, we're going to get rid of this drinks.0.string because we see that we have that in all of our fields. So we want to go to our JSON name, and we're just going to say replace. And we're going to say in our JSON name, we want to get rid of our drinks.0.str, and we want to replace that with nothing at all. That's not all that we want to do though. We also want to go ahead and parse out the number that occurs there at the end. There's a couple different ways that we can do that. I'm going to create a new field called ingredient number. So let's just say ingredient number, and I am going to go ahead and use regex replace to get rid of everything except for the number. Oops, that's the wrong regex. Let's try again. Let's say regex replace. The string that we're going to be looking at is going to be JSON name. We are going to be looking for any alpha characters. So we want to say, see here, boom, boom, and we want to get rid of any alpha characters. And we want to replace them again with nothing, so we can see from our preview, we'll just have a number. And then we also want to do the inverse of that, where we get rid of those numbers that happen on the end, and we just have the words ingredient and measure within our JSON name. And I'll show you why we're going to do that in just a minute. So let's come down to JSON name, and we're going to do basically the same thing. We're going to say regex replace. The string this time is going to be JSON name again. This time the pattern that we're looking for is we're going to go ahead and say any digit that occurs was one or more times, we're going to get rid of. This way, if we have like 10 different ingredients, we can work with that number as well. So we can go 1 up to 10 up to 20. I hope that you're not making any cocktails that have 20 different ingredients, but hey, it's possible, right? All right, so looking at what we've got now, we're actually just one step away from finishing. We've got our ingredients and our measures listed out. We've got them here in the value string, and then we have this ingredient number, which is going to be important too, because that's going to be our grouping field for our crosstab tool, which is the last tool that we're going to use. So we can find the crosstab tool in the transform category. We're going to go ahead and toss that on the line here. We are going to group by that ingredient number field that we talked about before. We're going to want ingredient and measure to be our field headers, just like they are in the answer here. So let's go ahead and say we want for our JSON name to be our column headers. Our values are going to be our JSON value string. And even though we won't have anything repeating, the crosstab tool needs for us to go ahead and add a method for aggregating our values in case we do have duplicates whenever we group. So we'll go ahead and say run. And we're almost done. There's one thing that we need to do. We need to toss in one of our favorite tools here, the select tool, and use the select tool to get rid of ingredient number. And boom, looks good. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you for learning with us today. Good luck on your Alteryx journey.
For more information on custom training, managed service automations, and more, please visit our website at abdataconsulting.com.